And welcome to the One More Thing podcast. Today, I am joined with Dr. Larry Baucom. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So we are in this Christmas series, absolutely loving this time of year. I was reflecting with Laura. It's a double-edged sword because this time of year is so incredibly busy and hectic, and and we're obviously planning for the Christmas Eve services, so there's a lot of work, and it just kind of flies by, and we kind of miss it. And so we were just kind of reflecting on the fact, we're sitting in our living room, we've got all our Christmas decorations up, it's so cozy, we got the fire going. We're just I love this time of year, and just sitting in that reflection. And this series I just absolutely love, and your first week was hope, Troy did peace, and this year this week was waiting.
That's it. And it's fun. It's called Advent, and Advent really the first 4 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it's a very traditional theme.
Yeah,
we're not a traditional church, but we still can take some traditional elements and bring value and life to them, and that's what we do. And they're usually, sometimes the themes shifts. I mean, hope is one, waiting is another, peace is one. There can be love or joy. I mean, and there's a couple more that can even, some people throw faith in there as well. But it's a season of just saying, I need to make sure that I don't miss this.
Yeah.
So, and Christmas is not a day. It's a season.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is typically a day. Easter is seasonal as well, but Christmas is a season. So we're excited about what's coming up, and it's my joy to stand before the congregation and remind them of things they need to be reminded of.
Well, and I needed that. Laura and I try to be we practice mindfulness as much as we can, just being in the moment and appreciating those things. But we both suffer from the lack of patience sometimes, and so this was a really good one. And it kind of, when you were talking, it kind of reminded me of a humbling moment with the girls. We were, obviously as kids are growing up and becoming their own person, they take on a lot of attributes and sayings and things of their parents. And I remember Laura and I, we were driving, and we come up to a red light, and we're just kind of waiting, and the light turns green, and all of a sudden, I can't remember if it was either Leighton or London, they start yelling, "Move! Go!" They, from the back seat, and Laura and I just kind of look at each other, we're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So they're picking that up from us. So we need to be watching what we say and have a little bit more patience. But, the mindfulness aspect is always a great reminder. We're always wishing for the next thing, and we try to even just do that on vacations.
Right.
Laura and I are planners. So when we're on a vacation, we're sitting there on the beach, and we're like, oh, what are we going to do for dinner tonight? And all this kind of stuff. And it's no, let's just be in this moment. Just relax, appreciate, look around, and finding those moments is really hard. And I loved the line that you said, waiting is not wasting.
Right.
And a lot of times when we're sitting around doing nothing, especially for high performers, it feels like I'm wasting my time. I'm just sitting here.
And I'm guilty of that. The reason that phrase is impactful to me, and I don't know if it's original or not. I don't remember anybody saying it.
I've never heard it. It's great, yeah.
It may be original, but nothing is. But I find myself taking my computer to the doctor's office because I don't want to sit there with nothing to do.
Yeah.
I've got plenty to do. I've got sermons to plan and appointments to do and things to respond to, and I just don't want to waste my time. But waiting is not wasting. Mm-hmm. So how can we turn it in more productive in our time? And one of the things I think, and you nailed it perfectly, is mindfulness.
Yeah.
And there's something in psychology called positive mindfulness, and it has to do with hope. And dreaming about the future is okay, but I need to live in the moment.
100%.
I mean, we learn from the past. Our hopes and dreams are in the future, but we live in the moment.
Yeah.
And we do not live in the past. We do not live in the future. So what is this whole theme of patience? It's, if you're pregnant with a baby, live every month of the pregnancy. And if you have kids, don't wait till they're grown.
Yeah.
Enjoy them at every stage. Now, for us, we always enjoyed our kids at every stage. And we call the golden years that are the age of your kids right now.
Yeah.
Where they get up and they dress themselves, they feed themselves. They really are pretty self-reliant. Mm-hmm.
But they're still kids.
But they're still kids,
Yeah.
and they also think parents are cool.
Yeah.
So they still want to go with you. So this is the golden age of your children is wonderful. So enjoy that. And then they move to middle school. They go brain dead a couple of years, but we're still there trying to enjoy them. Now we've enjoyed our kids. Now we're enjoying our grandkids. It's like another lap around the pool, which we like it. Maybe we're more mindful now than we were then.
Yeah.
But it's a good talk. It's a good thought for us, I think, this Christmas season.
Well, even just, going back to just sitting in a waiting room, say your doctor's taking a little bit longer, instead of sitting there just stewing like, I can't believe he's taking long, I'm going to be late. I think it's just, you ask any therapist, positive mindfulness, positive meditation and reflection is so healthy for your brain, and just your spirit in general. Just sitting there, just thinking like, what are the things I'm thankful for? Go through a checklist of all the things you're thankful for. They don't have to be big things. I'm thankful that, my kids are healthy, or I'm thankful that I have a car that works. I'm thankful that I have a home that I can go to and be safe. Like, all of those things are really important. They help your spirit. They help your that life of gratitude that we talk so much about as well.
I agree.
So this was, like I said, this was a great reminder. And I know you've said something like this in the past, but this whole thing kind of reminded me of, there's this wonderful line. It just says, I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you actually left them.
Yeah. I think, and I used to say, and I add on to that, the good old days, we're actually living the good old days.
Exactly.
So let's enjoy it. But if you look in the past, the good old days to me were not as good as we think they are.
Correct.
I mean, I grew up with 8 brothers and sisters. I remember one place being in a rural area of Tennessee, an old farmhouse, and some of my brothers and sisters had already married and left home. But I was there with probably 5 or 6 of us in the house. But getting up one morning in this farmhouse and a glass of water on the kitchen table was frozen solid. That's how cold it was in the house. And I look back and go, I cannot believe we lived in a place that was that cold and that muddy and that snowy and with that many hogs. It was not a positive environment. As I look back on it, I remember, this was just a warm thing. It was formative years for me. I was a teenager during those times. I had 2 horses. I had my first car, all the positive things. But if I want to think about the negative, I can.
Sure.
But when you're in it, sometimes, we didn't realize we were poor. We were living every day. And to think that I had to reach a certain this to enjoy my life, it's not true.
No.
Every city I've ever lived in, I've enjoyed it. Every place I've ever lived, and that's mindfulness.
100%.
You can focus on the negative or focus on the positive. And I would tell people today, if you don't like where you live, if you don't like the way your life is going, then change it. But you can change your circumstance and move somewhere else and not like that either.
100%.
So usually people who are confident in life and happy about their life, they move from good to good to good. And that's true in marriage relationships. People who have a wonderful marriage and they lose their spouse, they often want to get married again. And people who've had a not so good marriage and it's been rough, sometimes they don't want to get remarried because it's the experience that they have. So I think if you had your life to live over again, what would you do? And for some of us, we'd say, I'll take it. I'll take the same life I have in the past, and I'm thankful for it because was it perfect? No. Did I have some hiccups? Yes. Could there have been some things easier? Yes. But maybe all those things were formational for me to get to where I am today, and I like where I am today.
That's beautifully said. Well, I mean, we've been thoroughly enjoying this Christmas series, and we're so excited for Christmas Eve services. We had our first major practice with the band yesterday. Awesome. It was a lot of fun. It's going to be a really special service.
I agree.
And I know you know all the details. We'll keep it hush hush. But is there anything else you want to talk about on one more thing? Anything you left out?
Well, this coming week we're gonna try to talk a little bit about joy and love. And Troy and I are going to try to work on that together and see how that goes. But I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend, and then we'll land the plane very well on Christmas Eve, and then remind everyone who's listening there are no services here the last Sunday of the year, which happens to be Christmas Day. We want you to stay home with your family, but we also want to remind you there is a Christmas message for you from Suncoast, from the band, and also from me, talking to you about some things about the end of the year, maybe the beginning of a new year. And then we'll be back in person on January 1st.
January 1st, we'll be here.
And it's going to be fun. So thanks for all the questions and all the insights.
Awesome. Well, thank you for working so hard on these messages, and we appreciate you guys.
It's our joy.